Welcome to Lesson 6 in our class's films on grammar, style, and academic writing generally. This episode will explain some principles behind selecting strong, suitable verbs. You should have a pen and paper handy to take notes so that you don't have to watch the episode over again in order to complete the assignment or study for the exam. Just a heads up, you should watch these videos in sequence to be sure that you understand all the terms being used. Okay, the key to good verb choice is precision. What we mean by precision is exactness and accuracy of meaning. The English language is blessed with so many excellent verbs, but many writers and speakers tend to lean on a few verbs to do all their work. A well-chosen verb not only highlights the drama of a sentence and makes its meaning clearer, it sends a message to the reader that the writer has crafted the sentence carefully, that the ideas matter. In other words, good verbs not only improve the ability of your writing to convey ideas, they also make your reader pay closer attention to those ideas. Sometimes the culprit that keeps a sentence from sending that message is the 2 or 3 word verb known as an idiom. These are verbs like turn down, bring about, bring on, put up with, stand for, think up, take off, take up, do away with, get on with, give up. There's nothing wrong with these common verbs, and they certainly are a common part of our everyday speech, but the single word near synonym may be more precise, and it's always tighter. You may have introduced some flabbiness with common garden variety verbs that don't pull their weight. Have, make, go, do, say, get, take. For example, instead of make, you could express your meaning more exactly with constitute, render, produce, form, complete, compel, or create. Warning: not every word in the thesaurus is going to be for you. If you're not sure about a word, if it doesn't seem natural in your voice, then don't use it. It's also a good idea to double-check your new precise verbs in the dictionary, which usually has clear explanations of its specific meaning and example sentences. The major culprit of verb flabbiness is the overuse of the linking be. Am, is, are, was, were, have been, is being, might be, etc. You might be thinking, hey, didn't we talk about cleft sentences which require the be verb? That's true. What we're looking for is to avoid its overuse, and frequently be verbs do nothing to contribute to sentence rhythm, especially when they're not part of a cleft sentence. Let's look at some examples of sentences that lean on be verbs and show how they can be revised with more precise verbs. Original: poets are careful to budget their words. Revision: poets budget their words carefully. Original: the precise verb isn't always available when you need it. Revision: the precise verb doesn't always come to mind when you need it. Original: further, in writing, there are certain modifiers such as non-restrictive clauses that we rarely use in speaking. Revision: further, in writing, we use certain modifiers, and so on. Notice that often the better verb is hiding in the original sentence, as in the first and third sentences here. In our lesson on populated prose, we discussed the problem of abstract subjects. This is an important point, and I want to return to it here and explore it more fully. Remember, the abstract can be grasped by the mind and not by the senses. Examples of this are love, freedom, time, and status. The concrete, on the other hand, can be grasped directly through sense experience. Examples of this are everywhere around us: trees, scissors, Ralph, seaweed, lawyers, etc. Just look out your window and you'll see a load of concrete nouns. By making the subject of a sentence concrete instead of abstract, you anchor your reader's imaginative attention with something they can visualize and feel. This will make them much less likely to get lost. As I mentioned in the third lesson, human subjects are particularly good for placing in the subject position because we're naturally interested in the actions of humans and because humans are capable of so many different types of action. When it comes to abstract subjects, one major culprit is what we call nominalized verbs. These are verbs that have been turned into nouns, which might sound strange, but we actually perform this change all the time. Take a few examples. The verb occurs can become occurrence. Recommend becomes recommendations. Discuss, discussions. Appear, appearance. Usually nominalized verbs are useful, legitimate ways of expressing ideas. However, you should always ask yourself if you are introducing needlessly an abstraction where a concrete idea would do much better. Take a look at these examples of nominalizations that could be improved. Defense counsel made an objection to the prosecution's question. Compare that to defense counsel objected to the prosecution's question. The data are proof of this thesis. The data prove the thesis. There was committee agreement. The committee agreed. Failure could result in rejection of the budget. If you fail, we may reject your budget. In every case, the second sentence is easier to read, it's better written, it's tighter. Doesn't mean that there's anything grammatically wrong with the first examples. The problem here is a question of style, a question of the strength of prose, not of being right or wrong. Okay, assignment time. For this assignment, I'd like you to revise 6 sentences by finding more precise alternatives to the italicized verbs. In some cases, you'll have to make changes other than just the verb substitution. I'll read each of these sentences out loud and then show them to you here, but you can find a file with these sentences on Blackboard. A small band of rebels fought off the army patrol for several hours, then gave up just before dawn. News reports about the event did not give any specific details about how many troops were involved. The majority leader has a great deal of influence in the White House. He can easily find a way around the established procedures and go directly to the president, no matter what his party affiliation. Several economists are saying that they look forward to an upturn in the stock market during the second half of the year. Others, however, maintain that interest rates must stop their fluctuating if the bull market is to prevail. The night shift workers took their complaints to the shop steward when the managers tried to force them into giving up their 10-cent wage differential. The chairman of the Senate Investigating Committee spoke against the practice of accepting fees for outside speeches. He said that the new rules will put a stop to all such questionable fundraising. To many observers, such practices are the same thing as bribery. Several senators have promised to come up with a new compromise plan. Dorm life changed drastically when colleges did away with their traditional in loco parentis rule. In the old days, of course, there were always students who paid no attention to the rules. At some schools, where the administration would not put up with violations, students were routinely kicked out. Okay, zero in on those italicized verbs, make them stronger. Good luck.